Thank you very much. I am Susan Fletcher, an auditor at the local Independent Centre. This is a short presentation about auditing with self-analysis. Although the word auditor has other more familiar meanings, in this context it means someone who gives question and answer sessions like in self-analysis. Auditor comes from the word audire, to listen, and here it refers to the practitioner or facilitator who is running the session. How a session goes is like this. Once the session has started, the auditor explains to the client that she will ask a simple question about the client's life. Assuming that the client understands the question, something that answers the question will usually appear automatically in the client's mind. The client will note what has just appeared, and tell that to the auditor. The auditor will acknowledge the client's answer, maybe with a good or thank you, and then ask another question. The questions that the auditor asks depend on the type of session. In a self-analysis session, they almost all relate to positive incidents that the client has experienced in his life, and are intended to improve his memory. If a negative memory comes to mind, then the client must push it aside and find a positive one to relate. Next slide, please.
Hold it, wait a moment. Surely she is going to do more than provide basic definitions. Even Jim could do that. Computer, how can I ask her a question?
Mr. Spock, Susan Fletcher has been dead for 200 years. But I can simulate her for you.
Yes, do it. Greetings, Miss Fletcher.
Hello, Mr. Spock. How can I help you?
That presentation was very dry. How can I find out what a real self-analysis session is like?
Would you like me to give you one right now?
Yes.
I just need to know that you are not tired, hungry, or under the influence.
Totally fine, Miss Fletcher.
Great. Is there any reason we shouldn't begin this session?
None at all, assuming it is okay for Jim to be here.
Don't mind me. I could watch Susan all day.
Very well. Start of session. Mr. Spock, can you recall a time when you were happy?
This morning, I beat the computer at hyperdimensional chess.
Very good. What was the site in the incident?
Pieces flying around between dimensions.
Thank you. Recall another time when you were happy.
A few years ago when Jim managed to get through his first game of one-dimensional chess.
All right. What was the site in the incident?
He had a big grin on his face.
Got it. Recall the earliest time you can, when you were happy.
A child's general relativity class with my mother on Vulcan.
Okay, what was the site in the incident?
Mathematical equations on a screen.
Very good. We will move on to the next question. Can you recall a time when you had just finished constructing something?
Yes. I had just finished building my first moon base.
Great. What was the smell in the incident?
Interesting. The inside of that spacesuit was very musty. I had forgotten those old ones were like that. Very interesting indeed.
Excellent. We're going to finish off here. End of session.
Computer, what's going on? Who are these, people?
It's the halftime show, Mr. Spock.
Halftime show? I thought this was an auditing session, not a sporting event. Jim, get down from there. You will injure yourself. You two, stop that dancing.
Okay, dude. Whatever.
At the time of Miss Fletcher's presentation, this kind of thing was common musical entertainment. The show is a special request from Ahura.
No. Sorry, Ahura. It is utterly inappropriate. Computer, stop the noise and bring back Miss Fletcher. Welcome back, Miss Fletcher.
Thank you, Mr. Spock. You have another question for me?
Yes. I remember reading that millions of people received self-analysis auditing, but there were not nearly as many separate auditors available to deliver it.
Yes. The main 20th century way of doing it was for people at home to audit themselves through the pages of the book. This worked, but for one reason or another it never really caught on. Then, in the early 21st century, with the widespread use of the internet and personal computing, it became possible to get self-analysis auditing in a different way. This approximated getting auditing from a separate auditor, but did not actually require the services of a second person there in the flesh. This made it much more real, and self-analysis auditing became very popular.
Interesting. So, how did it work?
I will show you on the screen here. There is a folder full of web pages. After a brief explanation, and the start of the session, the person both sees and hears the first auditing question. Can you recall a time when you were happy? Just like in our session a few minutes ago, a relevant memory comes to mind, and the person answers aloud, just like in a regular session. He then clicks a link saying he has done that. A new page immediately appears, both showing and giving aloud an acknowledgement and the next question. What was the site in the incident? The person answers aloud, and clicks the relevant link to say he has done it. The person then gets the next page, and receives an acknowledgement and is asked the next question. And so on.
I see. But what happens if the person runs into trouble?
Just like in the book, there is a special session list the person can use. It works exactly the same way, in that the automated auditor will ask the appropriate question, and when that question has been answered, she acknowledges and asks the next question.
What happens if the person gets into a horrible mess and the simple handling does not work?
Then the person will have to find a professional to provide the help he needs. But a surprising percentage of people do just fine with the automated auditor.
All right. I understand it now. Thank you very much for your help, Miss Fletcher.
You are welcome, Mr. Spock. I will be leaving now.
Wait. Would you like a cup of coffee, or something?
She's dead, Jim.
Well, what about reincarnation?